Welcome back once again to Walk with Logas channel. So today we are going to shoot the video in English. So usually I shoot all the videos in Tibetan, but because of the time limitations, I cannot work on my subtitles. So better I can talk in English, and that will be more convenient, right?
Yes.
And then today I have a very special guest, my friend Chokden La. He is IT student here in Georgia Tech. So before we start our discussions, I would request him to introduce about himself briefly.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tenzin Chokden, and I'm doing my I'm doing my master's in cybersecurity at Georgia Tech. This is my last year here, and then I met Kusho Lobsang I think a year ago, and we became good friends since then. Yeah.
So today we are going to talk about what are the pros and cons of buying second-hand mobiles. So I brought an iPhone. I guess in 2017 in India. I was there in Delhi, and then I didn't have that much money to buy a brand new mobile, so
Okay.
I went to Korbag to buy the second-hand mobile. But that was really a very bad experience for me.
Oh.
I got such an dump iPhone.
Okay.
I really don't like it. They put the fake display, and then also the battery doesn't work very well. So I had a very bad experience with it. So what do you think? How can we buy? How can we check before we buy the second-hand mobiles?
That's actually a really good question. So buying second-hand mobile is very tricky because, especially if you buy a lot of Android mobiles, they have a lot of display options and batteries. So unless and until you have the original before, it's very hard for you to check. And especially if you are a consumer, like average consumer, for you to notice the small things are very difficult. But I think I can talk about iPhone experience, because with iPhones it's pretty easy. So if you look at, for example, the display, I have also noticed, because with displays, there are so many third-party display makers for iPhone, and with that, if you have an original iPhone 6 display and a duplicate one, you would definitely see the difference in the color. The duplicate, or what I would say, the first copy would have more of a blue light on the screen, and the original would be the color would be more warmer, compared to the blue lights. So these things, I think users would have to keep noticed, and it's obviously the price, right? So for better price, you would have to pay the premium price, and if you have a lower budget, then obviously you would they would have the quality would be lower. And with batteries, what you can do is with the newer software updates for iPhone, you can always go to settings, go into battery health, check if the battery is 100% or more. That's also one way to check if the battery is old or not. And so these things are, these small things are, I think, what the users can do. Look at the display, or so with, like I said. But in India, especially in Karopak, there's so many shops. So I think the best option for you is just go out, see many shops. Don't just, if you think this is a good price, don't just settle for it. You should go out for more. And then I think the two main factors are the display and the battery.
Yeah. Also, I feel like when we go to buy a second mobile, that will be a very good option for us. Everybody cannot afford for the brand new mobiles, so better sometimes we can go with the second mobiles. That is good option, but still we have to be very conscious about some of the things, some of which we were discussing about the batteries and the displays. And also, one thing I have to ask you is, how do we differentiate that this is the fake iPhone or this
Mhm.
is the original one,
Mhm.
so many of the times people get confused because I'm not that sure, but I heard that in some another country
Mhm.
they provide some kind of fake iPhones,
Mhm.
and then many of the customer they cannot differentiate between the original and the fake,
Mhm.
so that is now a huge problem for the
Okay.
buyers.
Okay.
So what is your suggestion for that?
I think I can speak generally about it because since I haven't come across any duplicate iPhones, I cannot particularly speak about those. But in general, I've seen some videos on, like YouTube's where people blog about these stuffs. So, for like an iPhone, right? So if you look at a duplicate and an original iPhone, the physical difference would be very, very small. Like they would have the exact body, exact camera, and everything. But I think once you turn on the phone, then you would see the difference because they cannot. An iPhone specifically, like now the newer models, they work with specific the software, right, in the iPhone. They would not work properly if you don't have the proper parts in it. For example, the display. There was I think I've come across a couple of years ago. If you don't put the exact display of the Apple, like they would have some issues with it. I think that got this thing changed now. But like I said, the display, the outer part of the iPhone may be similar, but when you go inside, then it's like the duplicate one will have like Android. The apps, the settings, they may have the same look and feel, but it's Android. So the one way you can do is if you go to settings in iPhone, you can do like settings, general, and if you click on about, you would have the iOS version, the IMEI. So these things you can always check.
Okay, and that's serial number, right?
Yeah, the serial number you can, for example, if you put the IMEI or the serial number, there should be some website on Apple where you can just put it up there, and you will see how old the iPhone is and stuff. So this is one way to check if
So the website will display everything about that iPhone, right? The instructions,
not
like
particularly. I think you would need. There may be some websites about it, but I'm not sure. But I think the one that I know, it'll just tell you how old the iPhone is and if there's any warranty left on it.
Oh yeah.
So that's just one way to show that the phone is actually an iPhone and not an Android phone, right?
Yeah, that's cool. So now I have another question regarding with secondhand mobile. So I cannot differentiate between the refurbished and the used one. So usually, how can you define those two things? Is that the refurbished one is like a used one, or is that something different from?
I think in my opinion, I think it's pretty much similar. But with refurbished, what they would do is like they would put in new parts. For example, let's say if I have an iPhone and the display or the battery is in a very bad condition, right, and I'm selling it. So the refurbished, what they would do is like the company or whatever they would put in a new battery. So this will be like a new refurbished iPhone with a new battery in it.
So they put the original battery or they put compatible batteries? What is that? What do you think?
That I think it depends upon the.
Such as if you take the example of Apple, Apple Store, and
I think if you buy from Apple Store, like they would put the original Apple battery in it. But I think at the same time, if you buy it from let's say Karobag and stuff, the chances of you getting an original battery would be lower. I think in that case is normally when you buy it from a website, like for example like Gazelle or Black Market, for like Back Market and stuff, they would come with some sort of like warranty, right, with a battery and stuff. So that's I think a good bargain. Like, when you buy something and you have a warranty on it, it's like there's some sort of relief that okay, for 6 months I can do. If something goes wrong with the phone, I can return it. But when you buy from Karobag, if there is just a bill and no some sort of what do you call warranty or stuff, then it's a problem. So maybe try to look. But I think it's always you always have to juggle between like when you buy very cheap, the warranties may not be there. So that's something that you would have to consider when you buy like from Karobag and stuff.
Yeah, I often get confused with So which one I have to go, so
Mhm.
like do I have to buy refurbished one, or do I have to buy the used one? So
Mhm.
every time when we go to the Amazon page, it always tells us that, like, this is
Refurbished.
refurbished and the
Mhm.
used one.
Mhm.
So what do you think, which one we should go, which one
Okay,
is
so this
better
one is a
to
tricky
go?
question. So I think it depends upon the price, right? So if the used, let's say you have two iPhones, iPhone 13, used iPhone, refurbished iPhone, right?
Mm.
But the used iPhone is like $600, and the refurbished is like $500, and the conditions are both the same, I would go for the refurbished one.
Oh, I see.
So there's no, and if you buy from a reputable site like Amazon, they have good warranty, like 3 months or something, at least in USA. But I think in India they don't have that. But I think with that kind of stuff, so when you have similar price difference, always look for the, try to see what are you missing in that.
Mm.
Maybe the screen is lower. The screen is not good in the used one, but with refurbished, normally what they try to do is, like, they try to fix everything.
Mm.
And I think I'm giving out too many information. I'm just gonna put it out there for the users. So when you buy from a website like Gazelle and stuff, so they have options, right? For example, like, even if it's used or like refurbished, they have three categories: fair, good, or excellent, right? For example, so if the condition is very bad, they would be like less price. Good is like medium, so the price would go up. So depending on the price and the condition of the phone, I would choose accordingly. There's no
Okay.
right option in this, I think.
Yeah. And then now we have a little talk about the second iPhone. So now I'm going to ask you a question about how can we secure, how can
Mhm.
we ensure about the, I mean, how can we protect
Mhm.
our bank accounts and everything what we put in our mobiles, right?
Mhm.
So if you buy second-hand mobiles or someone used it, so is
Mhm.
that safety for us to buy the second-hand mobile? Or even if we buy it, so what should we do? Do we have to refactor everything, or
Yeah.
what is the options there?
That's a really good question. So whenever you buy something like an iPhone or an Android phone, just off, if it's not like factory sealed, or if it's like refurbished, like, right, first thing I would do is, like, I would just like do a complete factory reset. Like, I wouldn't trust the seller
The
or
sellers,
whatever,
right?
right? So don't just put in all the informations in right then and there. Do a complete factory reset, and then if there's any update for that phone, do it right then and there. And then after doing all those, then maybe you can start putting your informations, like, downloading the apps and stuff. And for the banking, I think this is a very important question that you have asked. So after doing, so like the steps would be like, do a complete factory reset, to do all the updates. And then I think one of the major problems that I've seen in people is and it still is going on, is that people use same password all the time, again and again, right?
Oh.
So there's something called like password manager. So what it does is it will generate passwords for you. So all you have to do, so it's like an app. So I think for Android and iOS, there's this app called Bitwarden, and you can for iOS specifically, the one that I particularly use is called 1Password. So what you can do is, like, you can create one strong password for that app, and in that app it's like a bookkeeping.
Oh, so
Remember, like, when in the old days, when you want to have save all your email ID, password, and phone number, you would have a book for it, right? Instead of remembering all the time, you would have a book and you would go there. So it's just like a bookkeeping for all your password. The good thing about that is, like, it will also give you, like, random generated passwords. So the problem with the good thing about that is, like, your passwords are different for each sites. But the many problem that happens is, like, when people use 1Password or 2Password for a lot of them sites, and then one site gets compromised. Let's say if your Facebook password is, like, hello123, and use the same for your banking. So if Facebook is compromised, probably your banking may get compromised too. So I think I would recommend people to start using one like password managers. That's a really, really good
So
option.
you mean that we are managing one password, and then there is only one password we have to remember?
Yeah, so
that's
you
you are
remember
talking
one
about.
password. So once you're in that app, that app will handle or give you password options for all. You can basically, the app will manage all the other sites' passwords.
Oh,
I think that's a good option. And on top of that, try to enable two-step verification if your app or website offers. That's a good option, because again, if your password is hacked, you're done. If I have access to your
also once the main password has been hacked, so
mhm.
then everybody's done. So you mean they will hacked each and every password which you put on your different
Mhm.
what do we call it?
But the thing is, like,
Apps.
you should not save that password anywhere. For example, if my password for that app, one password, let's say it's like hello123, don't use that. Or don't keep a simple password, and then don't save it in like a notes or anything or like email, right? Make it big and try to, maybe if possible, to remember it. For example, I know my password for one password. It's like a 16 character long.
Hmm?
It has numbers and everything.
Oh,
And
that's too
I just
long.
know that. So I know that, and the rest I don't even remember, because I just have to go into my one password account and
Oh,
then,
so rest of them might be so long, right?
yeah,
So even people cannot remember that.
yeah,
That is
it's
called
easy.
that's what you call the strong password.
So yes, so the strong password would normally not only be with the length of the password, it would also has to do with
Some characters,
some characters too, right? But then
symbols, right?
there are different ways for you to make the password strong. Maybe in another session you can
Yeah.
you can do it.
Yeah, so in next session we are going to talk about how to protect our emails and passwords.
Mhm.
How can we give more protections to those kind of things which we really use in our daily life.
Okay.
So we are going to talk about that in our next video. So till that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lobsala. It was pleasant, and but how do you like Georgia Tech so far? Is it
Oh
good?
yeah, it's so nice. Today the weather is I think
Windy?
it's windy, but it's not that cold.
Mhm.
Do you feel cold now?
No, I actually like cold weather. So you see in my shorts and t-shirts, so I like it.
Yeah, but you are shivering.
No, I'm not. The weather is nice. I'm not shivering.
I'm just kidding. Okay, then see you in next video.
Okay.
Till then,
Take
take
care.
care.